Hello, beautiful beings. A warm welcome to anyone who's new. This channel is dedicated to helping people understand the difference between traditional non duality and neo non duality, also called Neo-Advaita. But more importantly than understanding the difference, to understand the potential harms of Neo-Advaita and how to recover from it. Okay, team Neo-Advaita recovery. This one's going to be pretty raw. I'm working through a trauma trigger. I was having a dialogue about someone who has recovered from Neo-Advaita, and they shared that, for them, Neo-Advaita is valid, kind of this idea of like, hey, it's just one path, and that some people find it really helpful. And so, oh my God. So I'm pretty activated by that, and not activated. I'm not activated so much that that's their view. And I'm not going to get into philosophy, though that's the temptation. What I'm activated by is, just 20 years of hell that I spent in Neo-Advaita. Pardon me. That's when I get in a trauma loop, my belly gets so tight, and then that's the releasing it. So maybe I'll mute it so you guys don't have to hear. But Jesus, Joseph and Mary, it's just 20 years of, am I real? Is the world real? Is it okay to want things? I should want nothing. Just this like having these spiritual highs and then these crashes and then getting bad advice from these fake teachers who I thought was enlightened, and just like over and over and over. It's kind of like an abusive relationship, but I wasn't getting sort of physically hit, and then I just kept going back because I thought it was the truth. And I've shared many times, I realized, I think in 2004, it was 2004, like, hey, wait, this not only is this contradictory to traditional, but this is hurting me. This isn't good for me. And I still kept going back because as I've shared, it's like an addiction. So, when someone says something like that, I can't disagree because, it's a nuanced thing what this person said. They're like, it's a valid view and a valid path, and it helps some people. It does help some people. I've met people who said that Neo-Advaita helped them, and I've met people who they've been doing Neo-Advaita for a long time, and they're okay. Like, it hasn't had profound negative impact, and it may for who knows how many people, it may have more benefit than harm. And like, I can't say, like, we don't have percentages, right? And it's based in lies. If you just practice self-inquiry, you'll become enlightened. It's based in the lie that the teachers are enlightened. I've been around the block. I was thinking about this. I've spent time with maybe 20 plus different Neo-Advaita teachers, and every single one of them is an absolute mess on a personal level. Sex problems, psychological problems, money problems, like just scandal. So I have to fervently disagree. The person said that it's a valid view. I have to fervently disagree with that. But I can't disagree with the fact that it does seem to help people, some people, with doing minimal harm. Intellectually, I can say that. Viscerally, from my gut, I'm like, oh my God, danger. That idea is dangerous to me because I kept going back. I'd be like, no, this is bad, and I'd leave. And then I'd like go back. It's like an alcoholic who's like, I can't drink anymore. and then a certain period of time would go on, and they'd be like, "I'll have a drink," and then they like blah, like their whole life, they're wrecked. And so I've stayed away from Neo-Advaita for, oh my God, I've never celebrated that, but huh, I've stayed away for 6 years. That's actually amazing. Um, but the idea that Neo-Advaita is okay, it's dangerous to me. I don't care whether it's true or not, and we can deconstruct whether that's true or not. But what I know is that idea is dangerous to me, because there's a part of me that wants to, and even though I've really grounded into life and committed to life, there's a part of me that just wants to fucking run away and not deal with anything, not deal with emotional pain, relationship, like life. The Buddha said it, life is fraught with dukkha, frustration, challenge, irritation, suffering. And there's a part of me that just wants to trance out. So when someone says Neo-Advaita is valid, or Neo-Advaita can help people, it's like, or does help people, like intellectually I can be like, yeah, I can't get on board with the valid thing. That's but the idea that it helps some people, like I've seen it. I hung out in a Neo-Advaita community for 20 years, and a bunch of people. One person seemed to have a pretty profound awakening, and a bunch of other people seemed to just kind of be like, it was kind of like church. They were really devoted, weren't necessarily seeming to make a lot of progress, but it wasn't destroying them so far as I could tell. And myself, deep harm. I know someone else who had a full-on psychotic break at that community. Another person who was just completely wrecked and still has not, like 10 years later, still is just a mess. No judgment, but so it's a murky field. And the thing is I think where I really land with it is, my view is that false light, a spiritual teaching. Where do I want to go? You know what? I could just spin philosophy, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to try and be really real. A part of me is angry that this person thinks that, like they made it out of Neo-Advaita, and I can be like, how can you think that or say that? Of course, the problem is that they're right, like it doesn't harm everybody, and some people say that it helps them. Like that's a fact. I just had such a hellhole experience that it's really hard for me to hear people, like I was likening it to my metaphor is like psychiatric meds. Like some people it saves their life. Some people it helps, and maybe hurts a little bit, detracts their health. Some people it like helps, but it really messes up their health. Actually, I experienced that when I was on psych meds. Really helped, really messed up my body. My body has not recovered 13 years later. Like it affected my body in such a way that I have weird reactions to other medications now. So, but that's not most people. And some people it does nothing. It's kind of like this weird nebulous phenomenon. Personally, I think psych meds are more benign than Neo-Advaita. And I don't think psych meds are very benign. But so yeah, it's just intense. And part of what I'm coming to, I haven't even intellectually come to terms with the hellhole that I was in. Like a few minutes ago, I said, I described. Like you have this high and then you collapse and then you go to the teacher and you get bad advice and then you leave and you go back and then that repeated. Like try to live your normal life, try to, just be detached from everything, like, oh, for like 20 years. I haven't even really intellectually digested the fact of what a hellish existence that was, much less the nervous system trauma piece. Um, so yeah, I guess me just sharing this is a beginning to do that. And the other thing is levels. Not everyone goes as deep. There were days where I would practice self inquiry for hours, hours and hours. I mean, when I was hardcore, I would practice like 6 or 7 hours a day, and not everyone. And I was like ready to become a monk. Not everyone goes as deep as I did down the hell rabbit hole. So. So yeah, that's I don't think a rant. That's just kind of a raw. Like I hope it's not me barfing on you guys. I hope it's helpful to some people. Um, if I could, if I'd sum up this whole thing, for some people, going down Neo-Advaita is a full on trip to hell, a trauma maze, wicked, delusional, nefarious lostness, existential. Because we talk about trauma to the body, maybe to the heart, to the mind, but what about to your very sense of existence? Neo-Advaita cuts pretty fucking deep. Cuts very deep. So yeah, that's what's real over here. I'm actually gonna, I'm just gonna leave it at that. Thank you, everyone, so much for your time, energy, and attention. And to be continued. Big love.